In the early years of the 21st century, a quiet struggle began to reshape the world's largest ocean. The Indo-Pacific, once viewed primarily as a hub of trade and maritime routes, became the center of a strategic contest between the world's two most powerful nations, the United States and China. But unlike the rivalries of the past, defined by visible troop movements or ideological lines, this new competition unfolded through subtler means: geography, partnerships, access agreements, and a web of military posture stretched across thousands of miles combined to create a pressure ring unlike anything seen since the end of the Cold War. To China, the Pacific is a natural sphere of influence, a logical extension of its economic and military rise. To the United States, it is the most consequential region of the century, home to the world's busiest trade routes and the front line of a strategic balance that will determine global power for decades. As Beijing expanded its reach, Washington responded with a methodical, far-reaching plan. Surround China not with armies, but with alliances, not with threats, but with presence, not through confrontation, but through access and positioning. This strategy begins with a simple reality of geography. East Asia is defined by two arcs of land known as the First and Second Island Chains, natural barriers that shape air, sea, and military movement across the Western Pacific. China sits behind these chains, hemmed in by geography. The United States sits atop them, anchored by allies who have grown increasingly aligned in purpose. Geography doesn't merely describe the region, it dictates power within it. Over the past decade, the U.S. has quietly woven these geographic advantages into a formidable ring of influence. This ring is not a blockade. It is not an overt containment line. Instead, it is a dispersed network of relationships, access points, and forward positions that give Washington reach, flexibility, and resilience throughout the Pacific. The northern anchor of this network is Japan, home to more forward-deployed American forces than any location on Earth outside the United States. From Okinawa to Yokosuka, U.S. naval fleets, fighter wings, missile defenses, and command centers form a frontline posture that sits only a few hours from China's coastline. Japan itself has undergone a transformation, expanding its military capabilities, integrating deeper with U.S. operations, and strengthening its defenses around critical areas. What was once a defensive posture has become a combined deterrent architecture. South Korea adds another tier. While its focus remains the Korean Peninsula, the U.S. presence there contributes to broader regional surveillance and readiness, aircraft, naval elements, and advanced missile defenses positioned in Korea extend American visibility and influence deep into the Western Pacific, subtly reinforcing the security web around China. But the most striking shift in recent years has unfolded farther south, reshaping the strategic map in ways few predicted. Australia, historically a close ally but geographically distant from Northeast Asian flashpoints, has emerged as a central pillar of the U.S. Indo-Pacific strategy. The AUKUS partnership between Australia, the United Kingdom, and the United States has opened the door to advanced undersea capabilities, autonomous maritime systems, long-range strike technologies, and next-generation defense cooperation. What AUKUS truly represents is not simply access or basing, it is a blending of high-end capabilities across borders, redefining what it means to operate together over long distances. In an era where reach matters as much as presence, this partnership gives the U.S. and its allies a powerful new depth. The Philippines marks another critical development. After years of fluctuating ties, Manila agreed to expanded U.S. access at multiple strategic sites, locations that sit on the doorstep of the South China Sea and just north of key maritime channels surrounding Taiwan. These access points transformed the U.S. position almost overnight. They placed American logistics, surveillance, and air mobility closer to the region's most sensitive flashpoints. They also created a forward presence that complicates any potential coercive scenario in the South China Sea or the Taiwan Strait. Moving eastward across the ocean, the U.S. position grows even stronger. The second island chain hosts some of the most important American territories, and partnerships in the Pacific. Guam stands at the center, a heavily fortified hub for long-range bombers, submarines, integrated air defenses, and large-scale surveillance systems. It is far enough from China to be difficult to target, yet close enough to project force across the region. Surrounding Guam are states with deep, legally grounded security relationships with the United States. The Federated States of Micronesia, Palau, and the Marshall Islands have agreements that grant Washington exclusive access, transit rights, and defense privileges across vast expanses of ocean. These compact states, rarely discussed in public debate, provide strategic depth that no rival can easily match. They allow U.S. forces to disperse, reposition, refuel, and operate in a way that dramatically complicates any attempt to disrupt American presence. This dispersal is the core of America's peacetime encirclement. The U.S. is not concentrated in one place. It is present everywhere. Beyond fixed locations, a broader network is emerging. India, though not a treaty ally, has become a growing strategic partner. Joint naval patrols, intelligence exchanges, and cooperation through the Quad framework create a Western anchor that stretches China's strategic focus across two oceans, Southeast Asian states, Vietnam, Indonesia, Singapore, Malaysia, may not align formally with Washington, but they increasingly participate in U.S. exercises, access agreements, and defense dialogues. Their quiet balancing reinforces the regional tilt. Unlike the alliances of the Cold War, these partnerships are not rigid. They are flexible arrangements built on shared concerns about stability, access, and maritime security. Each partnership adds another link to a regional architecture that China cannot easily bypass or reshape. But geography and partnerships tell only part of the story. The United States is also reshaping the technological environment of the Indo-Pacific. The region's security no longer depends solely on ships, aircraft, and bases. It now depends on data, intelligence networks, supply chain resilience, and the ability to sustain operations even under pressure. This is where the U.S. has been most active. Washington is strengthening semiconductor supply chains, building critical mineral partnerships, protecting undersea cables, and expanding cybersecurity cooperation. It is constructing the informational and economic scaffolding that underpins modern power. These efforts do not block China physically, but they limit China's ability to shape the environment to its advantage. From Beijing's perspective, the strategic picture is increasingly clear. Every year, the United States becomes more embedded across the Indo-Pacific. Militarily, diplomatically, technologically, and economically, Washington is not surrounding China with military divisions. It is surrounding China with relationships that collectively box in Beijing's options. This network gives the U.S. the ability to move forces quickly, share intelligence across borders, and connect allies through real-time operational awareness. It gives partners confidence that they are not isolated, and it makes any unilateral action by China more risky, more complicated, and more costly. Yet this encirclement is not confrontational. It is quiet, flexible, and adaptive, shaped less by aggression and more by strategic patience. It is built not to provoke, but to create stability, and at its core lies a deeper transformation. The United States is rethinking how it operates in the Pacific, shifting toward mobility, dispersion, and long-range influence. That operational transformation forms the backbone of the next and most revealing part of this strategy: how the U.S. is positioning itself to compete in the Indo-Pacific without firing a single shot. As the United States strengthens its network across the Indo-Pacific, it is also transforming the way its forces operate. This shift does not rely on building the largest bases or deploying the most troops. Instead, it is built on mobility, rapid movement, survivability, and integration across vast distances. An approach designed for a region where China's expanding missile forces and surveillance systems make fixed positions vulnerable. The central idea is simple. The U.S. must be everywhere, but not anchored anywhere. This philosophy has reshaped how American forces move, communicate, and posture themselves along the first and second island chains. It has led to new operational concepts, reimagined formations, and the development of systems designed for long-range, distributed warfare. In many ways, it represents the most consequential transformation of U.S. posture in the Pacific since the end of the Cold War. One of the most visible elements of this new approach is the emergence of the Marine Corps' Marine Littoral Regiments. These units were created specifically for the type of environment that defines the Western Pacific: archipelagos, narrow straits, dispersed islands, and long supply chains. Their mission is not to hold territory, but to influence it. They deploy in small, fast-moving teams that can appear on one island, operate for a short period, then disappear before being detected. These teams bring advanced drones, long-range fires, mobile air defenses, and networked sensors, creating temporary pockets of surveillance or firepower before relocating. Their mobility forces China to consider threats from dozens of possible locations rather than a handful of predictable bases. No single position becomes the center of gravity. Instead, the threat becomes the network itself. The U.S. Army has undergone a parallel transformation. It is building multi-domain task forces, formations that combine intelligence, cyber, long-range precision fires, and electronic warfare into a single unit capable of influencing vast areas of the battle space. Positioned across the region, these formations can disrupt networks, support allies, track maritime movements, and strike targets at long distances. They add complexity to China's planning and expand the reach of U.S. influence well beyond the visible presence of airfields or naval ports. Meanwhile, the U.S. Air Force is shifting towards dispersed operations through a concept known as agile combat employment. This doctrine breaks the old model of relying on a few major hubs. Instead, American aircraft now operate from dozens of smaller, often improvised locations scattered across the region. Fighter jets refuel and rearm at remote airstrips. Transport planes deliver supplies to temporary sites. Maintenance teams operate with lightweight kits, prepared to relocate within hours. This agility makes the air posture more resilient. A base that cannot be easily located cannot be easily targeted. A force that constantly moves cannot be pinned down. And because this mobility is supported by access agreements with partners across the Pacific, China must account for a wide array of potential launch points rather than a predictable set of bases. At sea, the Navy has adopted a similarly dynamic approach. Instead of keeping its formations tied to a few predictable routes or ports, it has diversified its rotations, distributed ships more widely, and integrated more closely with allied navies. Carrier strike groups move along variable paths. Destroyers and amphibious ships shift between operating areas. Submarines, one of America's greatest asymmetric strengths, patrol critical spaces, collecting intelligence and remaining invisible. This maritime fluidity mirrors the logic of the broader strategy. Instead of concentration, it relies on distribution. Instead of static defense, it relies on persistent movement. Instead of a single decisive position, it relies on a shifting, region-wide network. But mobility alone is not enough. The United States is also investing in resilience, ensuring that even if infrastructure is damaged, disrupted, or contested, its forces can continue to operate hardened fuel depots, redundant communication networks, dispersed command centers, and new logistics platforms all contribute to an architecture designed to endure pressure. In a region as vast as the Pacific, logistics is as important as firepower. The United States has responded by expanding prepositioned equipment, enhancing sea lift, and developing new classes of support vessels capable of sustaining forces across the broad maritime landscape. These investments ensure that mobility is not symbolic. It is backed by real, practical capability. All of these operational shifts make U.S. actions harder to predict and harder to counter. They inject uncertainty into Beijing's planning, forcing China to consider multiple scenarios rather than preparing for a single predictable pattern of operations. This unpredictability is a powerful form of deterrence. Yet the U.S. strategy is not driven solely by posture. It is also propelled by technology. And here, the distance between the United States and China becomes even more pronounced. One of the most significant shifts is the expansion of integrated surveillance and data sharing across the Indo-Pacific. Allies now share maritime tracking information, airspace monitoring, and early warning data in ways that were once tightly held real-time intelligence flows between nations, linking sensors across thousands of miles into a single operational picture. Japan contributes advanced radar capabilities. Australia brings long-range aircraft and new undersea technologies. The United States fuses this data with satellite networks, signals intelligence, and high-altitude platforms. Together, they create a level of situational awareness that is extremely difficult to match or disrupt. This visibility fundamentally alters strategic calculations. It allows the United States and its partners to track naval deployments, identify unusual activities, monitor air movements, and detect early signs of escalation. It transforms the Indo-Pacific into a region where transparency becomes a form of security. Another major component is the technological diversification of supply chains. The United States is building partnerships for critical minerals, semiconductors, cybersecurity, and digital infrastructure. These initiatives reduce reliance on China for strategic materials, ensuring that regional partners have alternatives that limit Beijing's leverage. Technological influence becomes a form of encirclement, not by blocking China's access to resources, but by positioning the U.S. and its allies as the backbone of secure, reliable economic and digital networks. Diplomacy reinforces this. The United States now participates in more Indo-Pacific defense dialogues, maritime patrols, and joint exercises than at any time in recent history. Many nations are not choosing the U.S. explicitly. They are choosing balance. They are choosing stability. They are choosing diversification. From Beijing's perspective, the picture is unmistakable. The United States is shaping a ring of influence stretching from India across Southeast Asia, through Japan and the Philippines, down to Australia, and back east toward the United States. These nations sit astride the key routes China depends on for energy, trade, and military access. The U.S. does not need to sever these routes. It only needs the ability to monitor and influence them. This is how geography becomes leverage, not through coercion, but through positioning. Yet Washington's approach remains measured. It does not seek to isolate China, nor does it aim to provoke conflict. Instead, it creates a strategic environment where China's options narrow while U.S. options expand. It gives regional nations confidence to resist coercion. It ensures that sudden escalations face regional pushback rather than isolation. The final dimension of this encirclement is the future battlefield, one defined by long-range systems, autonomous platforms, and contested domains. The United States is rapidly integrating advanced missiles, unmanned aircraft, undersea vehicles, cyber networks, and space-based sensors into its Indo-Pacific posture. These tools allow American forces to operate at great distances without needing to mass forces near China's borders. Long-range strike systems, for example, give the U.S. the ability to hold targets at risk from thousands of miles away. Unmanned platforms provide persistent surveillance in contested waters. Undersea drones extend America's already dominant submarine advantage, and integrated battle networks connect all of these capabilities across services and borders. This fusion of mobility, reach, and networked awareness is what gives the United States its strategic edge. China faces not a single adversary, but a distributed ecosystem rooted in geography, alliances, technology, and shared interests. It faces a region where states cooperate without forming rigid blocks, where information flows freely across borders, and where the U.S. military can operate dynamically without exposing predictable targets. This is how the United States surrounds China, quietly, methodically, and without firing a shot. It is a strategy built not on confrontation, but on influence, not on pressure, but on presence, not on dominance, but on shaping the environment in which all nations must operate. In the Indo-Pacific, power does not come from the biggest base or the largest fleet. It comes from the ability to be everywhere, to act quickly, to bring allies together, and to ensure that stability remains the default state of the region. This is modern encirclement. This is 21st century competition. And this is how the United States is shaping the Indo-Pacific. One partnership, one presence, and one quiet move at a time.